They are Earth's mightiest heroes. But how much do you really know about the Avengers? Here are 10 Avengers facts you may not know. What's in a name? When you think of the Avengers, you probably think of heroes like Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, and Captain America. But it was another superhero who actually gave the team its name. A character that still hasn't even appeared in the movies except in one little flashback. That's right, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, was a founding member of the Avengers in the comics, and even came up with the name too. That Nick Fury's always trying to take credit for everything.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Wasps for Widows. While she may be missing from the team she named, there was a point in time where the Wasp would have made a cinematic debut in the original Avengers movie. Writer-director Joss Whedon explained in a Q&A session after a screening of the movie that he'd written the Wasp into the early drafts of the screenplay. There was a little bit of time where we thought we might not actually get Scarlet. There was a very waspy draft that I wrote, but it was way too waspy. I was like, she's adorable, I'm just gonna watch her. Eventually, Johansson did sign up, bringing the Black Widow back to the screen, and the Wasp got squashed. Good, I hate wasps. Hulk smash! Membership card. In the movies, the Hulk is one of the most high-profile members of the team. However, he was only an Avenger for a single issue in the comics. They formed in the last panel of Avengers #1, and by the end of the second issue, he'd already quit in a rage. What a baby. A few issues later, a recently unfrozen Captain America replaced the Hulk, and the rest is superhero history. Kang outfoxed. As the second movie in the franchise shows, Ultron is one of the most important Avengers villains. But another nemesis stands out as their all-time biggest threat, Kang the Conqueror, a time-traveling warlord who has menaced the team since 1964. So why hasn't he appeared in an MCU film yet? Because even though he made his debut as an Avengers bad guy, he's also closely associated with the Fantastic Four. And according to Guardians of the Galaxy's director, James Gunn, Marvel included the film rights to Kang as part of their Fantastic Four contract with 20th Century Fox. As a result, Kang is probably off the MCU table for good. Avengers Disassembled. One of the most infamous moments in Avengers history took place in issue 16, in which the entire original team quit, only to be replaced by reformed supervillains. Why such a drastic roster change? Well, because Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, and the Wasp were starring in their own solo comics, and Marvel mastermind Stan Lee was getting confused about the continuity.
Did it work?
Rather than spend time figuring out each month when each adventure happened in relation to the others, he decided to just feature different characters who weren't appearing in other comics. Avengers Age of Machino. If you've ever looked at Ultron and thought he was pretty well suited to be an evil robot, you can thank a comic book called Captain Video, specifically issue #3 from 1951. According to an interview with Ultron's co-creator Roy Thomas, artist John Buscema was partially inspired by the villain, Machino's creepy design. Just take a look at that perma-smile on his face. Visions of Other Worlds. Speaking of writer Roy Thomas, he'd asked Stan Lee if he could add a member to the Avengers in 1968. He reportedly wanted to resurrect the long-forgotten Golden Age superhero character who first appeared in Marvel Comics #13 back in 1940, an alien known as The Vision, an alien cop from a smoke dimension who comes to Earth to battle mystical crime. But Stan Lee had other plans, asking that the new addition be a robot of some kind. So Thomas and Buscema simply took the name and design for Vision and used it to make a new robotic version, and this one could even cry. Comic book casting. Follow along with this one, if you can.
Hold on to your butt.
In the comics, Nick Fury was originally a white World War II vet who eventually became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Marvel updated the character in the early 2000s for their Ultimate Universe, artist Brian Hitch decided to use Samuel L. Jackson as the model for the new version of Nick Fury. So when Marvel Studios produced the first Iron Man movie back in 2008, and the post-credits scene called for a cameo from Fury, there was only one man for the job, Samuel L. Jackson.
Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Once the movies became a hit, Marvel decided to make the comic book Nick Fury in the main Marvel universe match the films. To explain the change, the original Fury got a previously unknown African-American son, appropriately named Nick Fury Jr., who took over running S.H.I.E.L.D. for dear old dad. These days, Nick Sr. is out of the picture, because he's been chained to the moon.
How's it working out for you?
Rogue was an Avengers villain. Back in 1981's Avengers Annual #10, the heroes faced off against the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which boasted a new member, a superpower-stealing villain named Rogue. 2 years later, she switched sides and joined the X-Men. Since then, she's become one of the most famous members of the mutant super team. Though that's partially because of her southern, charm.
You're as fast as a swamp bug on a hot skillet.
Joss Whedon, superhero scribe. On the subject of marvelous mutants, Avengers writer-director Joss Whedon actually had the opportunity to take a crack at the mutants' first big-screen adventure. He told the AV Club that he'd been invited to punch up the script for the first X-Men movie. So what happened? Whedon explained, "Not only did they throw out my script and never tell me about it, they actually invited me to the read-through, having thrown out my entire draft without telling me." Apparently, however, one line he wrote did make it into the final film.
Hey, it's me.
Prove it.
You're a dick.
Meanwhile, a few years later, Warner Brothers invited Whedon to write and direct a Wonder Woman feature film, but the project was scrapped in 2007. Incredibly, Whedon's Avengers movie in 2012 earned $1.5 billion and made the Marvel Cinematic Universe the envy of Hollywood. For Avengers fans, there's only one thing to say to 20th Century Fox and Warner Brothers for their mistakes.
Good move.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more videos like the one you just saw. And leave us a comment to let us know which Avengers facts surprised you the most.